Hello and welcome, everybody. We are going to go over a new podcast. We are going to talk about a build that Hive has put together. He runs this build about every league. It's a what we call a Hive special for sure. And I'm going to let Hive just straight in take it away.
Hi guys. Just go over my Herald of Thunder autobomber on the Elementalist. Um, I play a lot of versions of this build. This is actually a pretty far along version. I don't typically league started, and if I do, then what I'll do is I do a cold dot Elementalist, and then once I get enough currency to buy my two rings that allow this build to function, the Storm Secret. Then I'll start looking into acquiring some of my more important pieces, which is the Impulsas, the Annihilating Light, and then praying that I can find a good helmet that has Herald of Thunder on it or attempt to farm it myself. The build is pretty functional. It does not need the Mage Blood. I'm just far enough along currently that I am utilizing a Mage Blood. Um, Typically, you'll see a Stygian. You can see Headhunter on this build also. It really just depends on what you have available to you, how much money you're willing to put into it. Gloves are pretty self explanatory, just resistances, a little bit of life on them. Same with the boots, life, resistances. And helmet is typically ES base with resistances also, but I like to have a decent amount of life on it also, just because as you can clearly see, the build does not have a lot of life. About 3,400 with a little bit of a shield on there. The typical layout for the build itself is just right from the Elementalist. You just swing over. You're going to grab a Glorious Vanity that has Sacrificed in the Name of Dorianes. This allows you to turn Mind over Matter into Corrupted Soul. Surprisingly enough, I with the build currently in its current position, I was able to survive and run T16s without this node. I personally like having this node on though. It gives you a lot of survivability. Um, it allows you to bypass a little bit of your own energy shield to do damage to both your energy shield and your life. And how this build abuses that is that you're leeching spell damage as energy shield and you're leeching lightning damage as life. So you're able to fill and leech in two directions at the same time. And this allows you to kind of mitigate the damage from the Storm Secret itself, since they deal 250 lightning damage every time Herald of Thunder hits an enemy. And they're hitting quite often. They do quite a bit of damage because we use the Calamitous Visions Jewel, which adds Lone Messenger. And how Lone Messenger works is that I'm only allowed to have one Herald, but that Herald gets 50% more effect, and it gets 100% more damage with hits. The downsides to that is that it disables my auras. So I actually can't run auras with this build, which is why I run Arctic Armor. Arctic Armor is not considered an aura, but it does give me immunity to freeze. This allows me to take a different Pantheon, which I believe right now I don't have another Pantheon because I don't like getting stunned. So I put that one up. But generally speaking, I try to do Soul of Aracali. It helps a lot with the what do you call it? The corrupting blood until you can get corrupting blood mitigation onto your build. The other side of that is I like to take a Soul of Shikari, which is least amount of poisons. You could also go ahead and grab like Soul of Relicash. That's another one that I would take just in case you don't want to try to mitigate up here with Soul of Arcali. You can mitigate with Soul of Relicash instead. But I also like to run the Soul of Abrath, which allows you to make Burning Ground unaffected. And the main reason why you would do something like this is because this build excels at running altars. So I'm actually going to put in an altar map real quick, just a little tropical island. We're just going to hit it with a I hit it with Alkir. We're just going to put ambush on it. So my league strat currently is strong boxes, delirium, and what do you call it? Expedition. They're just kind of stuff I can do while I'm running around because this build is fast, right? It is going to just move through. Not sure if the screen's going to capture it that well, but a lot of it is just me running around in the build. And then if I clear it once and there's more available, just go back, you tap it one more time. More scarabs. Come here. I'm going to drop the butt. Make sure, okay. I can still freeze everybody here. Or not freeze, but shock. So as long as I'm able to shock, I'm able to kill. Woohoo. Oh gosh, delirium makes this very difficult. So I do take my first death. But my poor computer, I'm running a 1080 right now, so this is just absolute pain on my computer side. So the impulsive procs, and the other thing is because my gloves, anytime I shock something, it expands out for 15 units away from where I'm shocking. It's actually taking that impulsive shock, spreading more shocks across the board, and then blowing those up. So it's kind of utilizing the impulses a little bit more than you normally could. And this is actually the lower damage version of the build too. I have 14 skill points right now. I have a lot of clusters I need to put into this build as it stands. But there we go. We're able to run big explosion pretty decently quick. I mean, it took a little bit longer than I'd like, and I did die there, but we were able to complete it. And that's pretty simple build. A lot of moving parts, but at the end of the day, it is. Oh, got another fortunate card. That's what I've been farming.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been farming Tropical Islands for fortunate cards, and let's just say they have been very fortunate. I've been getting them. Womp womp. Exactly. I've been getting them a lot. Even on my low investment maps, I've been managing to pull one or two. My high investment map, I think the biggest amount I've pulled so far is 8 in one map, which is almost 2 divines in a map. I think is pretty dang good for just a div card farm.
Yeah, that's a ton of money.
Yeah. That being said, I think the most expensive map I've run so far, I ran Winged Scarabs, which is, in my personal opinion, a giant no-no unless you're running with group players. I ran Winged Scarabs. I think the map came out to be about almost 3 divines. 2 to 3 divines. Yeah, I think I only got 4 back on that one. That was a really, really bad time. That being said, I mean, easily running Gilded Scarabs, you could pay yourself off with like 1 or 2 drops. If you get any more, it's just that much more profit. With the expedition, if you get an expedition that has, oh my gosh,
Immune to elements.
well, yes, if you get one that's immune to elements, you're pretty screwed. If you get the books, the log books, all it takes is about 2 log books to pay off a lower investment map. So you can pretty much generate log books really quickly doing this. And I mean the build's flying. All I've had to do is right click maybe 3 or 4 times now. And I like to do that just to make sure that my buff is staying up. But my cast on damage taken is actually shocking everything around me when I do damage to myself. And that casts Crackling Lance, which is also my curse. And that applies shock, which just loops it back around. And there we go. Map is considered complete. So benefits of the build, I mean, it's simple, it's to the point. You run. I mean, you're just set it up and go kind of build. I would say it actually does surprisingly well against bosses. I have fully killed all the invitations. I've killed Cyrus with it. I've killed Uber Elder with it. I have killed Uber Searing with it. I've not killed Uber Eater, and that's probably because I just don't like the fight. I have killed Maven like once or twice. It's not again. That's not a fight that I like to do, but it is capable of killing them on the higher budget. And there's a single damage version, which is designed around specifically killing bosses. This version with the impulses is designed on map clear. You're just kind of going around and you're making sure you're blowing everything up. When it's single target, you usually use a coming calamity. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it doesn't really. I would say anything that can't have elements done to it is immune to lightning, or in some way just doesn't break that threshold to allow you to kill it quickly. Um, could become problems with this build in terms of mapping wise. That being said, once you break around 2 to 3 million DPS with it, it pretty much breezes through T16s. A couple little hiccups here and there depending on the rares, but you can run past those rares if they do pose that much of a problem. Overall, it's one of my favorite builds. I mean, I played a lot. It's pretty damn
So
good.
it is a absolutely beautiful build. You put it together so nicely every league and have great success, as Borat would say. Um, if you could currently give us a quick breakdown of cons and then pros, and go ahead.
Cons probably if you run a blight that has a bunch of lightning resistant, probably not a good time. Um,
Oh
Other
yeah,
side of it is it's high threshold for doing bossing. You do need money invested into it. You can't just run into it with 3 divines and adequately boss. You can probably boss, but it's not going to be fun. Um, there's a lot of different items. So a con could be that it can be fairly confusing. The helmet can be a crest of desire. The chess piece can be a coming calamity. It could be impulses. I believe there's like 2 to 3 other chess pieces, unique chess pieces that people use. The weapon, there's about like 3 different weapons depending on how much you're willing to put into it. That it could be, so it could be definitely be a con. Working around your resistances too, since 2 of your ring slots are always guaranteed to be storm secrets, which means you can't get other resistances. You have to invest into some decent pieces of gear to cover your resistances. Um, I think the cons, it's fast. It's a pretty much a 2 to 3 button build at max. Most of the time you can do one if you're moving through the build. Low level map farming is just the absolute joke. You pretty much just turn it on and you just go from one end to the other. You don't even think. Like you just blow. Like for me, I could probably just go expedition and like breach and something else and just mindlessly run from one end to the map to the other. um High
so,
maps eventually do get that way also, so that would be a huge con. I mean, not a huge con, a huge pro. What was that,
I'll
Fish?
I'll tell you. A couple of leagues ago, I did that build, and the best thing I did, it was I put in T14 maps, and I did Searing Exarch, and I did essences, and that's it. And I would go in, proc the thing, open some essences, and then I'd get out of the map. And I actually made crazy currency doing that, because the build is just so fast, so easy to just go in, clear a few things, get out of there, and keep going, and sell your invitations, and call it a day on your maps, and just keep going.
Yep. I mean, just today alone, I got down to about 2 divines. I'm back up to 21. I would say probably about 10 of those was from farming with the build itself. Another like 5 of that was from items that dropped while farming, and then just miscellaneous currency that I've just put in another tab and sold for a divine. So
Yeah.
it's a great moneymaker. I mean, like Fish said, it's just one of those ones that you pick your strategy and you just go with it, and it's point A, point B,
Yeah, it's a
screaming the
phenomenal
whole way.
farmer. Yep. And it's an auto bomber. It is so easy to just run, relax, watch a movie on your other monitor while you're going or whatever you want to do. Um, it's definitely one where I can do a little bit of other things on the side while playing it. So I think about a kind of similar to like a righteous fire build. You know, similarities, right? You know, your
Mhm.
defense is also your offense,
Exactly.
and
A lot less tanky.
yeah, a lot less tanky than a righteous fire build. Uh, but yeah, okay. All right, everybody. All we wanted to do is talk to you quickly about this build. We're going to have Hive link a POB, and that'll be it.
Yep.
Have a good night, everybody. Hive, do an outro.
All right, guys. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, just comment on here. Um, Probably, actually, no, comment on here. It's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I do check my YouTube every day. And yeah, you guys have a great day.